I'm just super proud of our team. We came out in both games and really competed hard. We talked a lot about being a player-led team this weekend since we were a little understaffed. So our girls stepped up in a big way and, really leaned on each other and communicated well on the court and just stayed together throughout the whole weekend. So I was really proud of our team's effort.
Questions?
Yeah, what happened?
It's hard to get your mind around, actually. I was playing volleyball. Craig Berry and I both play together in a volleyball league we have since we were in college. I've been playing in this league still, and I suffered a pretty significant injury. I have a Liz Frank fracture in my left foot. It's pretty significant. It will require surgery on Wednesday of this week. But I heard it and literally went to the side and put ice on and was sitting there, and can't make this stuff up. 15 minutes later, Craig had a torn Achilles, which is just a remarkably ugly, bad coincidence. 2 catastrophic injuries in a 15-minute period. And so incredibly, we both are in a similar place. He too will be having surgery on Wednesday. Obviously, the injuries didn't allow us to travel last weekend. Torn Achilles is a pretty significant injury for him and requires 6 to 8 week post-surgery, non-weight bearing. My Liz Frank injury is very similar in recovery. It's a pretty significant surgery, and I too will be 6 to 8 weeks non-weight bearing afterwards. So it's creating a pretty interesting dynamic here as we wind down the season. It's what kept us from traveling last weekend, obviously, and surgery is on Wednesday of this week, and then the next 2 weeks will be pretty touch and go depending on how we're feeling. But there's a lot of it's pretty significant injury, so it'll be real touch and go for a few days. So.
And when you say this happened?
Happened on Wednesday night of last week.
So the fact that this happened so quick before the trial, y'all left Thursday.
We left Thursday.
So this had to make for a mad scramble. And then what can you say for the team? What can you say?
Well, it's exactly what it was. It was just a chaotic 24-hour period. Our flight was scheduled to leave at 2 o'clock on Thursday. It got delayed by 5 hours, 4.5, 5 hours before they were ever even able to get on the road. I was literally sitting at the airport with them trying to decide if I could make the trip or not, and it was just impossible for me to do. But and so they boarded with just the remainders of the coaches and our team, and I'm just so incredibly proud of how they came together. UTEP is a fantastic team, and the first team in the country to get to 20 wins. They were 20-2 on the year, and with all of the chaos, our team had every reason to not accomplish what they went down there to accomplish. But I've said over and over to people that have reached out to me, 2 things that I just kept repeating over and over. Culture wins. And we have a culture of not making a lot of excuses in our program. We have a culture, of togetherness, and we have a culture of, and this is what really I think was the other defining thing, we have a culture of empowerment. We empower our players. We don't think as a staff that we're, punching all the right buttons. We want to teach them how to play this game and empower them to go do it. And then, that's the second word. Culture wins and empowerment wins. And not only did our players feel empowered, but, I think, over and over, I was a little bit shocked, to be honest. My wife and I were having this conversation all weekend, but, how people were so amazed at the job that Jena and Christy and Kyle did on the bench. And I was never shocked by it because I know how the quality of coaches they are. And I know what the dynamic is in our office every day and in our gym every day. And as I told them when they got back, and I told them how proud I was of them, you know, we don't sit in my office every morning when we have staff meetings. It's not the head coach and his assistants. It's 5 coaches in there just figuring out what we need to do next. And I think that showed because Jena and Christy and Kyle were more than up to the moment and handled themselves with, you know, with great class and with great composure. And so I maybe was the least surprised of anyone in terms of the outcome.
I guess, Jennifer, you just, you know, mentally kind of trying to work around like, hey, I'm about to, you know, take the lead here. I guess technically you're official, like, you know, first head coaching, you know, John, you know, you're very vocal on the sideline usually, but not to that extent. You know, what was that like going through that, going through the motions, knowing like, hey, I got to step up?
Yeah, like I was excited, I guess, for the opportunity, but like you said, I knew it wasn't like the me show in a sense. I knew it wasn't my time to shine or anything like that. I had a lot of confidence in our players, and like we talked about, like it was their moment to step up and be a player-led team. I was just coaching volleyball on the sidelines. I wasn't doing anything any differently than what I do in a typical game day setting, and so put a lot of trust in our team, and I knew they had a lot of trust in us, and so I was just out there coaching volleyball, and they were the ones that went out there and competed and followed the game plan, and so it was all on our players.
What can you say for them too? I mean, that was 2 tough matches. Obviously, the first was 3-1, but that third, the fourth set was kind of a marathon set, and then, you know, 3-2 speaks for itself. What can you say for the players to be able to get this done amidst all this chaos?
Yeah, like I said, like I'm just proud of them. We knew that it wasn't going to be a 3-0, 3-0 weekend. UTEP, like he said, is a very well-coached team. They're a great program, and we knew it was going to be a battle, especially down on their home court in a pretty tough environment. And so we just talked to our girls. We're going to have to weather the storm a little bit, and when things go wrong, we just have to, you know, battle back and continue to be more and more aggressive and rise up to the challenge, and that's exactly what they did, and so I'm very proud of them for that.
Have you ever had to miss out on coaching?
Just one time in my career, I missed a match several years ago when my grandfather passed, and I missed a match at Otec. I do want to make sure I still get the credit for the wins, right? Yeah. Okay. I don't.
I may be 2-0, but they're his wins.
That a girl. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, but yeah, it was at one time in my 30 years for the passing of my grandfather, but otherwise, no, and it was different. Not a lot of fun for me until the final outcome, but it was different.
Is there something going around with this campus? Because what, tutor and help, and I mean, everybody seems all these.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah, Coach Helton had the injury, and then, you know, Coach Tudor had the injury, and then one of our men's basketball assistants has a torn Achilles right now, and one of our administrators has a torn Achilles, and so it's.
Not going.
Hey, I've said this 100 times this weekend too, man. Better us than our players. Like all we did this weekend was show you, you know, the light gets shined on Travis Hudson a lot around here for the things that get accomplished. But I say over and over, I'm the lowest part of the totem pole. You know, it's for me, it's like a triangle, and I'm the very bottom. Like I'm just the foundational piece of this. And if we do our job properly, then our players will go out and do what they did this weekend. And, you know, but I tell them all the time, you can do this without me. I can't do it without you. And I think this weekend certainly showed that.
You look now at the big picture, obviously you guys have now put yourself in a really good position in this conference now. From that standpoint, how nice was it to kind of pass that test, get that measuring stick for the place you know you're going to have to go win at?
Yeah, it was incredible, especially to be able to come back and get that one on day 2 was just, it was incredible that our players went out and got that done because, You know, I mean, it gives us a 2-game lead with 6 to go. And we certainly understand by no means are we out of the woods in this deal. We've got a terrific New Mexico State team, the team we played in the conference championship last year, who will be looking to come in here and exact revenge on us there. They're an incredibly talented team. You know, like we've got most of the top half of the league left. You know, we got New Mexico State, Sam Houston, who's 8-4, and Liberty, who's I think right in the middle of the pack. And so it's an incredible boost to be able to go down there and get to at UTEP. Obviously, I don't think many people thought that was going to happen. You know, with where they sit this year. And so it's an incredible leg up, you know, to be up 2 with 6 to go, but it's time to reset, and we got work to do, and our players are going to have to, you know, we're going to lean into them heavily for the next 2 weeks again, because there's going to be a lot of distraction for the next couple weeks with us going through the surgical procedures, because there's just no way to know what we will and won't be able to do for several days. And so it's going to be touch and go, and they're going to have to pivot and you know, take it as it comes. And so the work's not done. And but it was certainly a weekend that I'm very, very proud of in terms of our staff and our players as well.
You spoke highly of New Mexico State all year, just what that program brings. I mean, how big is this weekend for you guys to push yourself really some distance here?
Yeah, they're just so talented. That's the thing that you'll notice when they walk in the building is, I mean, they're big and physical, and, you know, they've been up and down a little bit, but the ups are pretty high for them. I mean, you'll see, like, they pass the eye test when they walk in the building, and they're physical, they're tough, they're well coached, they're no question. You know, I said early in the year, you know, there's a lot of really good coaches in this league and a lot of good programs in this league, but you know, New Mexico State, UTEP, and Western Kentucky were probably the odds-on favorite coming into this thing at the beginning of the year, and New Mexico State is that. They're a team that's capable of winning this whole thing, and so we've got to reset quickly.
Olivia on the weekend, she had, I think, 16 and 11 kills on
Who?
Olivia.
Yeah.
16 and 11 for her, just this growth that you've seen, getting her more opportunities. She could be a big piece of this next year.
Yeah, it's just incredible what that kid has done from beginning to end. Like, none of us, like, we knew we had a pretty special player when we signed her, but none of us knew that she would be able to do this early in her career, this consistently in her career. When you look at her numbers right now, I think she's hitting 270 or somewhere around there. For a true freshman outside, that's like 270 for a senior all-conference outside is a remarkable number. Like, that's not a number you put up on the outside. And when you compare her numbers to freshman year Alyssa Kavanaugh numbers, freshman year Paige Briggs numbers, like, she's doing some things. And so, and she certainly got better and better as the match went on, the weekend went on down at UTEP. And so it's exciting, but it's a product. All of those things you're seeing are a product of what we've been trying to create all year in terms of offensive balance. Because it's, again, Kennedy Coyle has been on fire. UTEP gave a little bit more attention to Kennedy Coyle this weekend, and it's like, okay, we'll throw it out there, and, you know, it's next, and that's kind of who we've become offensively, and it was certainly a big weekend for her.
Speaking of that, Jim, you know, obviously you see it every single day, but just like that, Haley was 23, Olivia is doing what she's doing, making her own produce as well. You know, it's not just one person that this team had that can really produce it. It's everybody. You know, what was it like for you just sitting there and seeing all the girls being able to what they had on the
I wasn't surprised by it. Kind of like he said, the girls are trained to do what they did this weekend. You know, I may be a little biased, but I think we're one of the top offensive trained teams in the country. Like, Travis does an amazing job with all of our offensive players. And like he said, we're just a really balanced team. And so, honestly, Kennedy was not, you know, maybe producing as much as she had been in the past because they were putting a little bit more attention on her. But then again, then we can throw it up in the middle or push it out to the pin, and we score at will. And so that's what I think was happening this weekend. But our girls are just trained at a really, really high level to do what they're supposed to do again and again. So.
This weekend, you kind of talked about, being player-led, obviously with the absence of Travis and Craig. Who were some of the girls that you saw really step up this weekend
Kaylee Cox was huge this weekend. She did it all. She passed the ball. She defended at a high level, had herself a few blocks, and then just carried us offensively too. Like her overall game was just insane. And not only that, but just her demeanor on the court. She was competitive. She was tough and really led this team. And she was part of the reason that I think we were a player-led team this weekend. And not only on night one, but night two as well. And so she was absolutely incredible. And then again, I think Abby Schaefer was awesome this weekend. She passed the ball really well and defended well, especially night two. She had, I think, a career high in digs at 26. And so she was great. But our team itself, like, we came in and I think we just competed really hard and weathered the storm and just became that player-led team that we talked about being all season.
You alluded to that back row a little bit with Schaefer and we, and they both had, like you say, career high kills. What did you see in that back row? I know we talked about the offense, but the back row side, what did you see, especially that second half?
Yeah, I think that we made a couple of defensive adjustments from night one that we saw on film, and I think that really helped us, just having another game plan going into night two. But I think in a way we freed up our defensive players a little bit this weekend. For one, we didn't have a lot of set of eyes to be watching them and telling them where to be and what to do. And so they were just playing free and playing loose, and they stepped up and made some plays. I remember watching film last night, and there was times where they had an open net on the other side of the court, and our defenders were just doing a great job of putting their nose on the ball and making some plays out there. And so I was really pleased with our defensive effort from the backcourt as well as the front row as well.
You said surgery Wednesday. Is the goal to be on the sidelines this weekend, or?
That's been a big topic in the office this morning. It's, how can I say this properly? It's my goal. It's not my doctor's goal. Honestly, it's going to be really up in the air. It's just going to depend on how things go post-surgery. It's a fine line, Michael, between, being helpful and being a distraction. It's, I got to try to manage all that. And the good part is I have great confidence in our players and our staff, regardless. If I physically feel like I can, another set of eyes. Look, I feel certain in saying this, I probably won't be necessarily the head coach this weekend, if that makes sense. I won't be able to be up and be active and do all those kinds of things, but is there a chance I could be another set of eyes sitting on the bench in some capacity to, potentially? But there's also a scenario where, I feel like the doctor knows what I'm in for more than I know what I'm in for. And so in my mind, competitively, I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. But I think that I may be in for a little bit more than I think I'm in for. And so we'll just have to see. But if I'm there, it will be in a secondary role, if that makes sense. Just kind of another set of eyes, to kind of see and adjust and things like that. I certainly don't think you'll see me taking the lead role this weekend.
One more thing now, Francis. In my head, I'm sitting figuring Sam Houston and then the conference tournament. Those are the two road. Is the goal, at least, if not Sam Houston, to be able to travel by conference?
Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable after my appointment today that by conference tournament I'll be ready to travel. Sam Houston's a bit up in the air. That when he says 2 weeks and Sam Houston, departure is 8 days after surgery, that leaves that one a little bit up in the air. But only time will tell. But I certainly think that one is up in the air, whether or not I'd be able to make a trip of that nature, to Sam Houston. So I think you're right on those regards. Conference tournament, I don't think should be a problem. By then, I should be able to navigate it and do all of that kind of stuff. So I think, this weekend and in what capacity is kind of up in the air, and then next weekend's trip is up in the air. But beyond that, I think I should be able to, manage.
Jed, does this make this a little bit easier now for you and the rest of the coaching staff that I don't want to say a concrete plan, but a pretty good roadmap of what this next month is going to be like?
A little bit. This weekend was a little bit of a scramble, just because we left not even 24 hours after they both got injured. And so I think moving forward into this weekend and next weekend, just having a little bit more of a game plan of who's going to be doing what in game. We kind of did that on the fly, talked about it the day of, who was going to be responsible for what. But I think that, going into it, we'll just have our typical scout, have a game plan, prep for the weekend, and then we kind of know now what each of us will be in charge of in game moving forward. So I think it'll be a little bit more comfortable for us moving forward in game, but I think we handled ourselves pretty well on the sidelines, and we were just coaching volleyball and let our team go out there and compete and play hard and do what they did. So.
I think his will be very similar to mine. It's incredible how in line the recoveries on both those things are. And we're both slated to have surgery on Wednesday. Incredibly, same surgeon, same day, same, so I don't know if we'll lay in there and hold hands or what we'll do.
Best friends.
During I'm sure the jokes will flow. But I think everything that I've said about me, you can pretty much apply to Craig. His situation is going to be very, very similar in all capacities in terms of recovery and stuff like that. And, it's just this balancing act between, like, we want to do everything we can to be here for this team the rest of the way, but at the same time, there's things bigger than kicking a volleyball around every day. And he has to take care of his body and take care of himself. And, these are both significant injuries at a really, really inconvenient time. And, from talking to the doctor today, if this was in a downtime for me, it would be, you're laid up for a couple weeks without really leaving your house, and that's not exactly what this time of year is. So it's just inconvenient, but you have to keep it in perspective in terms of trying to do what's right for ourselves. But doing everything we can to be here for these players, because they have, guys, let's don't forget, we were 4-6, and we're now 19-6. And that is a tremendous show of character from our players. It's a tremendous show of culture from our program. To bow our back and withstand that and be in the position we're in. And I just want this for them. I want to see it through now for these last six matches. And this is quite a curveball. But they've put themselves in a position, I've said over and over and over again in my coaching career, there is nothing, in my opinion, more impressive than winning a regular season championship. I think it's way more impressive than winning a tournament championship, because to win a tournament, you got to be good for 3 days. To win a regular season championship, you got to be good for 2 months and deal with road trips and opposing crowds and injuries and homework and everything else that goes along with it. And so our kids are close, and they've put themselves in a great position. And I desperately don't want to be a reason why they don't get over the finish line. And so that's going to be the challenge for me, is balancing wanting to be there, but understanding that there's a fine line between that and distraction. And me pushing myself to be back out there is not a statement to my lack of confidence in our staff, because clearly they are more than capable. It's not a lack of confidence in our players. It's just a tremendous commitment that Craig and I both feel to want to play our part in getting them to something that I think would be an incredible, significant accomplishment given where this season began.
Speaking of where the season began, I know, Jena, you touched on it a lot this weekend. It's kind of why the non-conference schedule was what it was, and you saw the physical kind of pay off in terms of the adjustments going to Kennedy or going in the middle for Olivia. But, and Travis, to you too, mentally and emotionally, kind of how did you see the non-conference, kind of pay off this weekend?
We talked about it even going into this weekend. We knew UTEP would be a battle. We knew going into a tough environment would be difficult. But we talked to our team like they're prepared for this. They've played tougher teams like They've played in tougher environments, and I think that having that non-conference schedule really prepared them for this past weekend. We played some really tough teams, some top 25 teams, some big physical Big Ten opponents, and unfortunately, none of those went our way. And so we just, gave some confidence into our team that, we've played a tougher schedule, we've played tougher opponents, we've been in tougher environments, and so go out there and compete. And I promise you, if you do that, you will get one, if not both of these games. And so that's what they did. They played their hearts out, and fortunately enough, we came out with a 2-0 weekend.
So 6 conference games left. What are some of the things you're trying to hammer down on? It looks like you guys are rolling pretty well, but of course, before a conference championship, you need to get fine-tuned on pretty much everything. What are some of those things?
Well, it's still going to be a serve and pass battle. I thought that was a big story this weekend as we handled the ball and serve receive really well against the number 2 serving team in the country. That was huge. We all believe there's still more room to grow from the service line. I think that's one of the last pieces to the puzzle for us. I think we're blocking and defending and playing offense and doing all these things that we need to do. If we can continue to add more service pressure, I think we're going to be pretty close to the finished product that we've been trying to be since January. And, so that's something we'll continue to hammer home. And, you're starting to see some different people with the ball in their hand back there. Olivia Skidmore served all weekend for us this weekend, did a pretty good job. And, it's all hands on deck in terms of that.